Hey there, I'm Emily, the community manager at the Speaker Lab, and you're listening to an episode on community. How fitting, right? Well, even more fitting, I decided to loop in community for this episode. I could talk about this topic all day. In fact, enjoying community is basically my favorite part about being a human on this earth. I mean, I probably said the word people like 600 times in my interviews for this job. But when it comes down to how community relates to life as a speaker, I wanted you to hear from the speakers themselves. So I asked some speakers on our team to share their thoughts on the following questions. We asked them, why does community matter as a speaker? What are some actionable things a speaker can do to find community? And lastly, how does a community change your trajectory as a speaker? In this episode, you're about to hear from Brittany, Nanette, and Jeremy, and I know you're going to love their responses. I bet you'll even notice some themes in what they say. We'll talk about those a little more at the end, but let's dive in.
What's up, friends? Brittany Richmond here. I wanted to talk a little bit about for y'all what it means to have a community as a speaker and why community is important and networking with other speakers and feeling supported and all the things. When I started, my husband, my family, supportive in their own way. Okay. And what I mean by that is we didn't know what we didn't know. That's including myself and my husband and my family. So when I'm saying I'm going to become a professional speaker, people are very much like, wait, what? like Tony Robbins, like nobody does this except celebrities. I think we all can attest to that sort of feeling and what that means and have experienced maybe similar conversations. So community was wildly important for me to get to know and build relationships with other professional speakers. Because again, not that I didn't have support in my personal life, but there's something about support from people who are actually doing the things, right? And doing the things that you want to accomplish. So there's a different understanding of having those conversations, because sometimes you need to have those conversations, not just about business, but venting, right? Venting to people who understand and know what you mean and how you mean it and all the things. It's just a little bit different. And it's also a little bit more exciting to talk to other speakers of yours who are friends, who when you book this certain gig or you've worked for this or you prospected for this, like the celebrating the moments that are so impactful from somebody who knows the process of going about that it's just you celebrate that on a totally different level. And again, we're not negating the people in our personal lives who are very supportive and understanding, but it's just a different kind of level to share those moments with people who are doing the things that you're doing. So what are some action steps you need to take to find community? Put yourselves in rooms that people are leaps and bounds ahead of you, and whether that's NSA chapters or local speaking communities, Toastmasters, online forums. Social media is a great way to connect with other professional speakers. I've utilized Instagram many years to do that. I think The Rock said, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I think that is what community is so important for, is constantly putting yourselves in positions in rooms where people who are better than you or know more than you, or sitting at tables that you're surrounded by people who are at the next level and you're learning and you're listening. And I think that there's so much value in that. It's just so good to view yourself in a community as a member and not somebody who doesn't belong or is an outsider. And I think that is a lot of mindset and overcoming the imposter syndrome and things like that, because I'll be fully transparent. I still struggle with those things, but I really push myself to be in situations and meet people who I know are just a few steps or leaps and bounds ahead of me, because I'm like, what do they do? What do they know that I don't know yet? Because I don't know what I don't know. Maybe they know. Something else I would do as an action item is meet speakers, find out where they're speaking. And if they're close to you, go watch them speak, build that community, take them out to lunch and vice versa. I've invited people to come watch me speak. I have shown up when I've been invited to watch people speak, so we can build those relationships in that community. It's just natural that when you're surrounded by people who are doing the things, it levels you up, right? You have to view it as a leveling up opportunity. But that's one of the reasons I love the Circle community for the Speaker Lab, is because you have that opportunity to meet other people in your lane, in your space, similar messaging, and you get to support each other and build those relationships and things like that. I think that's really powerful too.
Simply put, you can't do this alone. If you look at any successful sports team, even a successful fighter, like let's say solo, right? Like let's make this A to B. A fighter is just one person in a ring. They've got so many people who help them get to that ring. Same thing with speakers. You see us on stage, but there are so many people who get us there. And a community is massively important, whether it's someone to give us perspective on our stagecraft, or give us perspective on what we're writing, or give us perspective on our pitches and how we're promoting ourselves. It is so important to have someone looking out for you that you can go to and get genuine, honest feedback who will tell you to your face if this is working or if this is not. It is so great to get that feedback and see what your blind spots are from someone else's perspective. And because of that, I cannot say it enough. Community matters as a speaker because no one is successful alone. If you're open to being in community, then that is going to be the big domino that allows everything else to fall into place. So if you're open to reaching out to someone who's doing something you like and just say, hey, I love what you're doing. Would you mind doing a coffee? Or in today's day and age, a virtual coffee. Or if you see someone posting something online that you really dig, if you're open to reaching out and saying, hey, I really love your content. What advice would you have for someone like me? Or when you see a call for speakers to take it to that next level and actually get to know the person putting it on, you will start to develop an amazing community around you. The number one way to start to build community is to be open to it. If you do that, I guarantee you will find your place, you will find your tribe, you will find your community, and you will find yourself thriving in this ecosystem of communicators who are changing the world. You do that, and I will see you on the speaking trail. The power of community has changed my trajectory in so many ways, but the number one way it has is by giving me an opportunity to deliberately level up when I reached a point that I could no longer be satisfied with my results. You never want to be the smartest person in the room. What does that mean to us speakers? Well, you never want to be the most successful person you know. Because if you don't know people more successful than you, you're going to find yourself getting a little bit lazy, a little bit quicker than you ought to. And so for me, every time I get to a point where I'm succeeding and I'm feeling like I have made it, don't get me wrong, I celebrate those victories. But then I start to ask myself, who is two steps ahead of me that I should be getting to know? What groups are those people a part of? So when I got started, it was, okay, who's getting paid to speak? I need to be a part of those groups. And then it was, okay, who's getting paid to speak and doing it full time? I need to be a part of those groups. And then it became, okay, who's making six figures as a speaker? I need to make it be a part of those groups. And on and on and on. You find yourself a community to be a part of that will push you to be better. And I guarantee you this time next year, you will be better.
Hi, I'm Nanette Hitchcock, and I'm one of the coaches here at the Speaker Lab. And I am so excited to be able to weigh in on the Talk Speaker to Me episode on community. Community is so important to me. It is actually a value of mine to have connection with other people, to make sure that I am making that a strong value, that I am an individual that connects with others. Community are those people in my life who offer a variety of perspectives on this world. I love to look through their lens and see how they're impacting the world, what they're learning, how they're growing, what their insight is. They've mentored me. They have supported me, encouraged me. That's my community. And it's a variety of people that I lean into on a regular basis, and I'm very intentional with. That my community is very much about intentional networking. And so I have built relationships with clients over the years that are very valuable. I don't just offer my services, go in, and then leave. I cultivate that relationship over time. I just went back and spoke this last week at an organization that had hired me 9 years ago. 9 years ago, I helped them to establish a leadership group called Huddle. They're still doing that. 9 years later, and they brought me back in to speak on something that was very important to their leaders. And so over time, I've stayed very engaged with those individuals. I've networked with them over the years. I know what's been going on with them. And in that, I found myself able to serve them again. This business is a relational business. It is very much about community. It's very much about staying engaged with those clients, knowing what their needs are, knowing what their gaps and their challenges are over time, knowing how the landscape of their workplaces have changed so we can better serve them. It's about friendships. It's about making sure that we are providing something that will help their journey be successful. Isn't that what life is about to a great degree, is how can we be intentional with the connections that we've been given so that it's not just about raising ourselves up to a great level of speaking, but instead, how can we serve those in front of us better? What are some actionable steps you can take to find community? For me, I am very intentional about this on a weekly basis. I make sure that I get on the phone, that I have a Zoom call, that I have a lot of coffee and in person with people. And so it's simply reaching out. It's setting up those times and spaces to stay connected to people and being very intentional.
There you have it. Aren't they just the best? All of them had so much goodness to share. You'll actually hear the expanded versions of their answers if you're in our Speaker Lab Circle community. And now remember those themes I mentioned? I know for me, it seems like they all commented on community requiring intentionality. They also all shared how mentorship, being around folks who've been in the game longer and know more than you, can be crucial. They also talked about service, making sure you're being a giving member of your community and not just looking for what's in it for you, but being someone that recommends other speakers and pays attention to the needs of others and is investing genuinely in relationships with others, ensuring it's not just this transactional thing, but it's about authentic connection. So good. Well, as this episode comes to a close, I'd encourage you to think of one takeaway. What's one thing you can do intentionally to cultivate community in your life as a speaker? Thanks for listening.